It's the same one.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning, ladies. Chat, put something in the chat box so we know you can hear us. Can you see that as well, Victoria?
I can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started if that's okay with you. We want to welcome Victoria Miller of Thriveworks. I think this is something that typically, you see Brenda. Hey, Brenda.
Oh, hey.
I think this is definitely a topic that, for some reason, is people don't really like to talk about.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we demystify mental health, that all people, it shouldn't be a stigma. So remove the stigma
Absolutely, yes.
of mental health. So tell us a little bit about who you are and why you decided to go into mental health.
Okay. So I am the owner of Thriveworks Counseling and Coaching here in McDonough. It is actually a franchise. We have about 84 plus locations right now, and there's several here in Georgia. So my husband and I are originally from Charleston, South Carolina. So if you hear an accent, it's the
Oh,
Geechee in
I'm
me
from
coming out.
Charleston.
Oh
I never knew you were from Charleston.
yeah. Yes, James
Now that's
Island.
crazy.
Yes.
I am from Charleston as
Yes.
well. Okay.
We
Awesome.
actually relocated here in 2017.
Oh, wow.
My husband and I were both active duty, and we relocated from Korea and Hawaii in
Okay.
2017. We have a toddler. She's almost 2,
Wow.
and she's definitely in the terrible twos right now.
Right.
Yes. And so I was actually a pre-med student before I got into mental health. That
Mm,
didn't work out so well. Me and science were just not getting along at the time. But things happen for a reason, I believe. And I started processing my own stuff through the help of counselors at my school. And that's what really got me interested in the field.
okay. Okay. So tell us a little bit more. So you were active duty, correct?
Active duty Army.
Okay. And your husband or just you?
And my husband, yes.
Okay.
We were dual
Um,
military, yes.
I know that as a daughter of two veterans, actually, both of my parents served over 20 years. It's definitely something that we encourage because I'm daughter of also of a minister, and I think
Mhm.
sometimes we get in this pray about it. Definitely, I think we
Right.
should pray about it. But I think there is this misconception that you can pray about it and seek counseling.
Right. Right. Right.
I was trying to figure out a way to say that. But tell us a little bit about why you think it's important that we have great, or just tell us what you think we need to know, especially for this particular time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few notes that I actually wrote to give you some more clear and concise information.
Mhm.
Because I know if you heard it at one time, you heard it 1,000 times that we are in unprecedented times dealing with this global pandemic.
Right.
And there's a lot of us that are grieving,
Mm-hmm.
and not just grieving possibly the loss of loved ones or friends through this virus, but also grieving different things like sense of self. A lot of us found our worth in the work that we do. So when
Right.
you're told that you can no longer do that work, you tend to devalue yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We're also grieving social connections, that one-on-one, that in-person, that physical connection, that social engagements. We're also grieving things like the trust in our systems, our medical systems. People may be questioning the religion right now, our leadership, and our government and different organizations. And also, financial security. So things that people were once secure in are now trying to find ways to maintain that. Yeah. So we're
Yeah.
definitely in a grieving period right now, and people are going through different stages. You may be going through one or more stages at a time. You may be feeling anger or denial or depression or acceptance. You may be even bargaining right now. One day you may be feeling in denial that this isn't even something real that's going on, and then the next day you may just be accepting what's going on right now, or accepting of what's your daily activities of living that's shifted.
So your new normal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're basically saying anytime there's like a major shift, there's a
Right.
what is that? A grieving period? What is that?
It's a period of adjusting. So you could definitely be grieving, your old self or an old life, and embracing a new one or stepping into a new one.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So tell us more.
Okay. So one thing that we can do to get ourselves more mindful, more aware, more present here in the present moment, because these things can cause, or sitting in grief can cause things like stress, anxiety, depression, even. So a technique that I often use in my toolbox is called mindfulness. So mindfulness is just really saying, being aware, just being in the present moment and giving yourself space to acknowledge any feelings and emotions that may come up for you during that time. Now, you also need to be careful of it, because it does not mean being stuck in the present moment. Oftentimes, people who are feeling or experiencing depression, they're stuck in the present. They're not able to see um, the future, or they're not able to have hope in the future. They're stuck on, this is what's going on now and it's never going to change.
Mm,
Hmm.
okay. So acknowledge how you're feeling.
Right,
Give yourself space to be okay with that feeling,
right.
but then make sure you don't get stuck in that feeling.
Yes,
That's what I'm
absolutely. You
hearing.
got it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay.
All right. So there's many different techniques and practices with mindfulness, and these techniques have been proven to reduce depression, anxiety, pain management, compulsive behaviors like such as addiction. And it's also been proven to help with long-term weight loss, which
Oh,
something I probably might need after this quarantine period.
okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So
Uh,
I'm interested to know why it helps with weight loss.
so there is actually a study done where someone is craving food, right? So it stops that impulse to get those things that may be unhealthy for you, to get those foods that may be unhealthy for you. And you kind of just stop yourself and start to be aware of what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your body. Do you really want this thing? Are you just feeling bored? Are you just trying to fill a void? Are you emotionally eating?
Okay.
So it brings you into awareness of those things and helps you to see a pattern.
All right. So let's hear those tips.
All right. So the most common is meditation. So I know we've all heard of some form of meditation at some point. A physical form is yoga. A different form is deep breathing and relaxation techniques. So there's a deep breathing and relaxation technique called the 478 technique. And I actually learned this while I was in the Army. We have something called a master resilience training course that we all have to go through. And every time we're in this course, somebody falls asleep because we're so comfortable. This deep breathing technique gets you so comfortable that you just kind of really let go no matter where you're at. So it helps with insomnia. And this technique, you would basically breathe in deeply for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and let it out for 8. And you repeat this process for maybe 4 times, or however many times that you need to feel calm.
Hmm. Can you show us that? Hope I'm not putting you on the spot.
Oh, no, no. So it's just simple. So everybody breathe in deeply for 4 seconds. hold it for 7, and release it for 8. And you can feel how it like relaxes your shoulders as well. So
Hmm.
if you were tense, you were more aware of what's going on in your body.
Okay.
hmm Another technique, one of my favorites, is a grounding technique, and I often teach this to my children and adolescent group. Oftentimes, you can use it when you're experiencing an anxiety attack, and what it does is it uses your 5 senses. So you would count backwards from 5, and so you would name 5 things that you can hear, 4 things that you can see, 3 things that you can maybe touch, 2 things that you can smell, and maybe 1 thing that you can taste. It brings you back into that present moment that
Okay.
you strayed away from that maybe caused the panic attack, that this excessive worry that you have got going on, this narrative that you've created.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
when you say narrative that you created, so some of the things that we create in our mind isn't it's worse than what it actually is.
Absolutely. Like someone with, for example, social anxiety. So they walk into a room and immediately they think that someone is staring at them, or they're kind of put on the spot. And in reality, nobody's even, may have not even noticed that they walked into the room. So then they start going with this narrative like, oh, maybe they don't like the way I dress, or they don't like the way I look. So all these insecurities start to present themselves, and it becomes so overwhelming that they become panicked.
Mm,
Mhm.
okay. Okay.
It's like the body's defense mechanism. So some anxiety is okay, just like fear is okay. There's fear that keeps us alive, and then there's fear that prevents us from living.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, it's important to identify and be able to name what that fear is.
o-
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So did we want to practice that particular exercise, or is that a little bit more intense?
It's not really more intense, but it's just something that you would kind of do internally. So you would
Okay.
just kind of name 5 things around the room that you can see, and 4 things that you can maybe hear, and 3 things that you can say taste, and 2 touch, and 1 smell. It's really a when you're active in the moment
Hmm.
kind of activity. Yeah, but it's nice to practice it, so when those triggers do arise, that you have that in your toolbox to pull out and use.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And what's the next step?
The next step is being active. So right now, everybody's confined at home. I like to use the word stuck, more like safe. Everybody's safe at home. So there's a lot of these home workouts that are going on right now.
Yeah.
If you're not really into exercising, I've been seeing so many of those dance TikTok videos. I think I see that every time I'm probably like scrolling through social media. You can probably engage in that. Maybe not post it, but you can engage in it. And they have these things on social media, like the DJ hour, or the D nice
Yeah.
that every participating
That
in
was good.
that. Yes, it helps you with the sense of connection,
Right.
and helps you get out of your own head too.
Because at this particular time, because we are social beings
Mhm.
told to be socially distant,
Yes, yes,
that connection is still important. Uh,
absolutely,
okay. And
absolutely.
and so the exercise, that's because why? Endorphins. Tell us a little bit
Yes,
more about that.
yes, yes. So there's so many benefits to physical activity, whether that be walking, running, jogging. You get those endorphins up. You start to feel good. Things that once bothered you, you start to find solutions for them. So you're more focused. Your mind is more clear.
Okay.
Not to mention your body is healthy, because stress can take a physical toll on your body as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good.
Mhm. There's also activities that you can do to create moments with those that are around you. So you can maybe create something like almost like a time capsule. You can keep it like in a shoebox, and you can capture things like a journal entry that you wrote for the day, pictures that you took for the day, anything that may remind you of how you're feeling right now in this moment, so that in the future, if you're ever faced with another crisis, you can pull that box out to remind yourself that you got through that, so you get through this.
Mm, That's good. So
Mhm.
do you actually encourage women of our age? Do we typically don't have a whole lot of time? We're finding ourselves a little bit more time
Mhm.
to journal. I don't think I tell my daughter to journal. But is that something you recommend for women of our age?
Yes, that's something I actually do myself. I'm actually a big list maker because if I have it in my head, it's really kind of overcrowding all of my other thoughts, and then that can create overwhelm. So I often jot down my thoughts or things that I have to do for the day, and maybe like a small pocket-sized notebook.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
But if
that works
we're
for me.
talking about journaling, how we're feeling in this particular moment as a way to reflect back, um,
Mhm.
if we're faced with this type of feeling again, um, what is your recommendation on that?
If we're faced with, you mean like another a
Crisis.
crisis
It
situation
doesn't necessarily
or
have to be like this, hopefully not, but any type
yeah.
of crisis.
So you gather these different techniques and put them in your toolbox so that they're there. And the more that you practice them, the more that you can bring them into your awareness, the more that you can pause and take a breath before you start to feel different triggers that'll let you know that you're about to go into panic mode.
Mm, okay. All right. And what's the next one?
Um, oh, talking and connecting. So with my couples, this is very helpful. So at the end of the day, they kind of get together and they unpack their day, what bothered them, what helped them to overcome whatever was giving them concern.
Mhm.
And they tend to end those discussions with maybe like a scripture or a Bible verse that may help them, you know, get more in tune with the moment and help them further, getting a space of resilience, creating resilience and gathering strength from another source.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit? And I know I don't want to get you off topic, but you mentioned resilience. I just think this is such an important um, part. Um, what I'm seeing now is there's just a lack of coping skills and a lack
Mhm.
of resiliency.
Yeah.
I think more so now than ever. Do we know one, why that is, and two, what can you do to increase those particular skills?
So we're facing so much of the unknown and we're doing that together. So there's no better time than right now to show compassion and show compassion in humanity, what we can do, what we're capable of. We've been here before. We've seen viruses like this before. We've overcome, different crisis situations. We've overcome the Great Depression. We've overcome the Spanish flu. So this is nothing new to humanity. This is nothing new. It's just something new that to us that's going on that weren't present then. So we're finding new things to kind of connect emotionally and kind of dig in deeper. And it's almost ironic because we often complain that we're so caught up in our phones, so caught up in our technology that we're not together, that we're not connected as we should be. So this is kind of almost forcing us to do that, to be more present again with each other
Mm,
and leaning on each other and these different groups that probably you were once maybe too busy to attend or to engage with. You have more time to do that now, and you can see the benefit of doing that. So when all of this is over, then you have that in your toolbox too to kind of pull out and use when needed.
so what's really the definition of resiliency, and how again, I mean, because again, like you said, we've seen this, maybe not in this particular aspect, but you mentioned the Spanish flu or the swine flu or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
whatever trauma or crisis has been there before, we have been able to bounce back from that as a nation. But individually, what's resilient, and how do you
Mhm.
actually unpack that particular skill set?
Yeah, so it's not something that you actually go out and look for. It's already within us, you can say. So it's just really kind of calling on the strength to keep moving forward, to keep pressing on, that last push that you need before you're sent over the edge. That's what, what you can find I guess that's what you can define as your sense of resilience. How do I cope with the different things that's going on around me? How do I control internally when I can't control externally?
Mm,
And if you don't have those tools already, you have mental health providers available to teach you those things. What's worked for you in the past? Leaning on the past actually helps a lot because everybody experiences stress in some way. And how did you get over that? We don't normally stop to think about, well, I overcame this thing. How did I do it? How did I find it within myself? Where did that strength come from? We often just kind of check the block, okay, I got over that and move forward, but we don't take the time to process that thing that we got over or how exactly we did get over it.
so you're basically saying when you guys, when mental health counselors talk with individuals to assist them in getting over certain things, they basically are saying they're going back to say, how did you get through it the last time?
Right, right.
Okay, interesting. Okay, okay. All right. So, did you have any additional tools? I kind of took you off on resiliency, but please feel free to go ahead and forward with the additional.
There's just maybe one other, maybe like you can find some books to read right now for personal and professional growth and development. And even there's a lot of free courses going on right now, for you to hone in on those skills that you have. So when this is all over, that you're ready to implement them in our daily walks. So right now I signed up for, it's called The Science of Well-Being, and it's actually Yale's most popular course. So if you want
Call it the
information on that,
sign.
and the science of well-being.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a free course right now offered by Yale. So if you want more information on that, I can definitely send you a link
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
definitely. Okay. Well, that's amazing. So I wanted to open it up for questions. Nika Arnold Scott said that journaling and brain dumping are powerful, as well as meditation and affirmations are life saving. I completely agree.
Mhm.
I don't do the journaling. Maybe I need to start. Brain dumping. So is that considered journaling? Is that the same thing? Where you just kind of put in
Yes,
everything
you're just
out?
basically taking what's in your head and putting it on paper.
Okay.
But you do what works for you. So if journaling doesn't work for you, listening to music might work for you. For me, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I have to practice this, but I don't grab for my phone.
Mm,
Um,
that's
so I
important.
kind yes, that is very important.
I
So
think
I
we
kind of
all do that.
yes, because it's so easy to do, and information is already readily available for you before you even sit up in the bed and realize if you can even walk, you're already on your phone.
Right, right.
So I've developed the habit of just kind of laying there and being grateful to be of sound mind and body at the moment. Maybe say a prayer for the day before I get my day started.
Yes, yes. I like all those. I agree with all those. I heard before, I think it was, a lot of the really wealthy people like Oprah. I mean, maybe they did this back in their days, but now they say they don't rush to wake up, which I think is so important. Giving yourself a few minutes to, like you said, lay there, be thankful for being alive.
Mhm.
And saying, if it's your choice to say a prayer or whatever the case is. But
Right.
I think that's a really good tip, and not grabbing for that phone first thing. We're on a 24-hour news cycle. So that in itself is you tell me what that is. What is that 24-hour news cycle? I mean, how does that affect us?
So right now, because we are safe at home, we're constantly scrolling through our news feeds and we're intaking all this information. A lot of it's not necessarily positive. So that can seep into your negative thoughts and your negative thinking. So it's important to kind of unplug at the end of every day or even in the middle of the day. If you can find it in you to not engage in social media at all for a period of time, that'll be helpful as well.
Yes. Brenda, yes, you said you found that taking a news break has been necessary in keeping peace. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone else have any questions or comments? So we know we started off at the beginning saying, let's demystify even the topic or conversation of mental health. For some reason, we and I know we have a mixed group, but for some reason specifically in the Black and brown community, there is this thought and misconception that you know taking part in anything that has to do with mental health is a bad thing. So you wrote a book specifically about, tell us the name of your book and why you named it that, and just a little bit about that, because I think that's important, especially in what I'm referring to right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually co-authored a book. There was quite a few of us, and it was through an organization called Black Therapists Rock, and it's called A Glimpse Through the Eyes of Experts. So each of us kind of took a chapter and wrote about our different experiences. So my experience in particular is really about me growing up in Charleston, South Carolina, and not having or not being exposed to other cultures. I think I had a cultural shock going to college, actually.
Where did you go
And
to
this
college?
is, I went to the University of, so I went to Columbia College first, which is an all-girl college in
Yes,
Columbia, South Carolina.
my aunt graduated from there.
Yeah. And then I transferred to the University of South Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was even bigger culture shock for me. And which is interesting to say because I graduated high school in like 2004.
Oh,
So
you
yes,
time ago.
I wasn't exposed to a lot. I'm
Right.
currently working on my doctorate degree now. And, my mother, she didn't graduate. She had me in high school. She didn't graduate high school. My father, he got his GED. So for me to be this far, advanced in my education is a really big deal. Especially for my little girl coming up to see that, because I didn't have that coming up or that support. And so a lot of things that I did was often seen as, they would call me, I guess, like a white girl or that's being white. So there's a lot of misconceptions, but there's also a lot of that going on in the community. So not being able to be open and express yourself or dig deep into, other things that you're interested in.
Interesting. So Marquita, am I saying that right? Marguerite? Okay, sorry. She said, do you have any advice for college students to help relieve anxiety from the uncertainty of the future?
Yeah, being as I am a college student myself, so right now it's just kind of taking a step back. You don't know what's going to happen, so why excessively worry about it? You're probably creating all these different scenarios that may not even manifest themselves. They're worse in your head than they might actually be in reality. So still trying to keep in contact with your advisors, still connect with your cohort, get in groups with your interests to discuss different things that's going on. So right now I'm actually in this doctoral mom group, and we often talk about the journey, the dissertation journey, and where we are in our process and getting different resources to help us. But 2 nights ago, we actually decided to get on a call together and talk about how we're balancing school with everything else that's going on. Jobs, working from home with our kids, trying to handle schoolwork with our kids. And we kind of unpack like that. So you have to probably get in touch with more of your peers or, your cohort to kind of stay connected, to stay in touch. Keep learning, keep reading, keep studying, because this is temporary.
That's good. This is temporary. Absolutely. Did anyone else have any additional questions or comments? Come on, Bram. I know specifically, I just have never seen so many people have a lot more anxiety and a lot more panic. And that is really because they haven't, I don't want to say, I'm not a counselor, but I mean, what is that? Everyone's worried about, no different than the college student, what their future is going to look like. A lot of people may have lost a lot of money in the stock market. They're saying that there's a possible, recession. I know we're trying to prevent that, which is why they're trying to get everybody back to work a lot quicker. But what tools, could we have in our toolbox to really, help with that? I know you mentioned the help with the mindfulness, and being mindful. But there is a lot of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so definitely don't dismiss those feelings, because they are very real. These things are really happening to us in real time. So don't dismiss those feelings. Definitely don't do that. Just go into those feelings, maybe identifying, naming those feelings, coming up with real practical solutions to the problems that you're having, that you're facing. I know you mentioned financial uncertainty. This absolutely causes a lot of anxiety. But what can we do in this moment, in this time right now? There's a lot of resources out there on the web about how to kind of get control of your finances, or maybe even protect it, your different investments or maintaining. So really getting out of your own head
and actually
and
something.
you're replaying. So the anxiety actually comes from worrying about what's going on in the future, excessively worrying about the future and not being present in the now.
Okay. So from a business standpoint, one of the things I saw today posted, and I said, we're going to repost that, was don't look back a month from now and say what you could have done. Because, you're given this opportunity. So whether you decide, in my opinion, there's so much you can do. I think it's just a matter of unpacking that. I mean, I think DJ D Nice was the perfect example of how to take this crisis and how to flip it to an opportunity. So whatever your field is, you don't necessarily have to stop working. Of course, if you were employed and then you're now unemployed, you still need to find a creative way to, one, sustain yourself. And that does require a little bit of work on your end. Reaching out to those professionals, like myself, and there's tons of them, to assist you in that. So Brenda asks, are you serving clients now? And what procedures have you put in place to take care of your clients? Telemedicine. Yeah, she is. I know she's doing telemedicine because we were talking about this last night. Yeah. So go ahead a little bit. Tell them a little bit about what you're doing.
So I like that you said that it's an opportunity. So before we were primarily seeing clients in office Monday through Sunday. Monday through Friday, we were seeing clients from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we're always there, we're always available. We weren't necessarily seeing clients doing telemental health with clients. They really just kind of wanted to come into the practice. But like that you said, opportunity, because it gave us an opportunity to pull that out of our toolbox as well. We are still currently seeing clients in the practice because it's more so their choice. And until we're, I guess, shut down, I think people just kind of want to get out in a safe space environment. So I think people just kind of want to get out. So we're still seeing clients in the office, but we're offering telemental health, and the major insurance panels are definitely on board. There are a few that are actually waiving co-fee or co-pays right now to be able to reach a wider audience.
So are you guys doing, how do y'all operate the telehealth? That's not through like Zoom or nothing, is that?
It is, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Platform, and we do utilize Zoom. We do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So some people that may not have any privacy in their home or feel like they don't have any privacy in their home, they can just step out in their car. You know, because you can easily just kind of click the link and it's available on your mobile phone.
That's good. Wow. I tell you, technology. It's amazing when it works.
With a wide range of hours, you know, you can check in before the family or the household gets up, and you can check in after everyone goes to bed.
Okay. And you said your hours are what again?
8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday.
Is that normal for most counseling places? I didn't know they stayed open that long.
Well, it's normal for Thriveworks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. All right, guys. So tell me what other questions you guys may have. Again, if you want to send a message privately, you can go into the private mode and also ask questions because we want to make sure that we're giving some tools. So let me ask you this. So I guess it would be no different. You are a veteran. I know we have some veterans that have come on. Again, my mom, both of my parents are veterans. You know, some have already been diagnosed. They're already dealing with certain things. I guess it would be no different than what you've already told us. But if there is anything additional, you know, what is that? You know.
Yeah, so you know, maybe isolation and separation isn't necessarily new for us, for this population. So it's something that we're kind of used to, but it does not mean that it's something that we've embraced as normal, right? So some people may be experiencing maybe some traumatic symptoms, thinking about some times when they were deployed and how that felt, and those emotions may be coming up now because they may be feeling like they're stuck and they can't go anywhere, like a deployment. Or now that maybe we have some veterans in our active duty military that got out of that sector because they didn't want to necessarily have to follow all these strict rules and instructions, and now you're right back into it. You're right back in it, where you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go this place, you can't go that place.
Right,
So
right.
process those things and be able to recognize that with them, or assist them and recognize that.
Do you know if the VA is, and do you work with the VA at all?
I don't personally work with the VA, but I do have a provider. Her name is Maria Lewis. You can find her on the website. She actually works, she's a director there at the VA. So they're still currently seeing clients over there.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely have to look out for our veteran population, our veteran women population. So if there's anyone who needs to reach out, please. I know we posted this inside the military women group. So we just wanted to make sure it was open for them as well. So if people want to, okay, would Victoria be willing to speak to a teen group? Okay. Yes, I'm sure.
Perfect timing. So I have a few providers that are actually interested in Thrive Girls, which is a group for adolescents and teens. And we were actually right on the brink of getting that started. So we have our content page and everything on our website, and we're just about to
keep going. Don't stop. That is a population that what age group do you go up to with that the teen girls?
So between the ages of 13 and 17, but we definitely split that group in half because that's a big age gap, 13 and 17 years old. So we kind of
Right.
stick to middle school age, 6th to 8th grade, maybe 12 to maybe 14. And then we have our high school girls.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that and why you decided to um, target that particular age group.
hmm So right now we actually have a partnership with Henry County Schools. So we actually provide a therapist at a school right now, currently at Stockbridge Middle School, and we're hoping to continue on with that relationship. And what we found is a lot of these girls are really looking for a connection, and we're hoping to get them connected to each other or connected to someone instead of engaging in unhealthy behaviors that they have been probably doing in the past.
Hmm. So as parents who may have teens, they're looking for ways to connect, I'm assuming they're either not connecting with their parents, or they have unhealthy connections, or maybe they just don't want to connect with the parent. Maybe they need a pair connection.
Yeah.
What is your recommendation to us?
So I do hear that a lot, that they can't talk to their parent. They don't know how to talk to their parent. They don't feel comfortable talking to their parent because their parents are not really receptive. But I work with family systems. So I often look at the family as a whole. Well, maybe mom can't connect to you because nobody connected to her. So we try to get the family involved in the process as well. So we may bring them on later, when they're ready for an open discussion, when the girls are ready to have an open discussion with them or with their parents, with their mothers, with their fathers, or whoever their guardians are about things that are bothering them or things that they wouldn't have felt comfortable talking about maybe a month before they join the group.
Mm, okay.
So just being really open, active listening helps. Sometimes they just want to talk. They're not looking for advice. They just want to talk. Oftentimes you kind of brush them off like, oh, it's just kids are going through a phase. We have to really stop doing that because we were once there. We were once in their shoes. We were once taught what we were going through were phases. We still need to process that and kind of be there for that journey.
Right, right, right. So basically validate their feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure we leave the women with some additional tools. I mean, again, the anxiety may be high, the stress may be high. Um, we have the kids at home. We might have the husband at home. Everybody's home.
Yeah.
Not everybody really has, sometimes people say home as if it's an automatic safe space, when the reality of it is that is not necessarily the case. Not everybody has a great home situation. Um, can you speak a little bit to that? Like, what do you do in that area?
Yeah, so now that we're working from home, many people actually left the job to find that comfort in that safe space at home. But now you're bringing the
Right.
job in the house with you. So how do you disconnect? How do you get back to that? How do you find yourself? How do you go within when there's so much going on in the external? So I know there's really issues with children being hungry right now, and there's a lot of resources out here to help with that. Or maybe even, I think we're coming up on Child Abuse Month in April. So those are things that we really try to prevent as a whole, as an organization. We have, different resources like DFACs and things like that. But when you can't get to that and you can't get to those resources and you're experiencing some sort of trauma going on at home, it becomes really challenging, really hard, really difficult, especially if you can't find somebody on the outside. So Brenda, mentioned journaling. Write down your feelings. Get yourself in a safe space mentally, to be able to process those things when you are able to get somewhere safe to talk to somebody. So that's really helpful.
Okay. And just some additional, so as a wrap up, so basically talk to someone, journal, whatever your space is, whether it's music, Definitely unplugging from that 24-hour news cycle at some point, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the evening, or in the middle of the day if we have an opportunity. Understanding that our anxiety is it's real. It's valid, but just trying to figure out a way to kind of push through that. Am I saying that right? Okay. And definitely exercise. You're definitely saying make sure we're moving, make sure we're getting some type of something where whether it's working out in the house, walking in your neighborhood. I mean, I don't know if we can do that or not, but hopefully we can. But just basically something that's going to build up those endorphins.
Yeah. Anything that'll kind of give you peace and calm. Continue practicing those things. Go to those things. Pull those things out.
What if people don't have things that bring them peace and calm? They haven't identified it. They haven't cultivated that.
Well, that's where mental health experts come into place.
Okay.
Yes, we can help you identify those things, help you process those things, pull things from your past experiences that have helped you. Call on, when we do groups, call on other people's experiences that you may be able to identify with or relate to.
Okay. All right, guys. So if there's no other questions, I see some people still trying to come in. What time is it? If there are no additional questions, I definitely want Victoria, if you just want to wrap it up, how do people reach you? I know you put Victoria M at thriveworks.com. That's your email address?
That's my email address. And I also listed our website as well. So there's a plethora of information on there. We have several content pages related to individuals and relationships groups as well, because we're starting a couples counseling group that our couples actually came up with that they wanted to do when things kind of go back to normal a little bit. Okay. And you can also book your counselor online, so you will be able to see their rates, what insurance they take, and their schedules.
Are you seeing a boost from a lot of the employers as far as helping out with the mental health?
Yes, actually, we are serving a lot of EAP clients right now. So their employers are actually paying for a certain number of sessions for them. Okay. There's even a program called the Camaraderie Foundation that have reached out to us, and they assist veterans with getting services that they actually pay for on the veterans' behalf. So I think you can get up to maybe 12 sessions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And what is that?
It's called Camaraderie Program.
Okay. Camila, are you going to provide a summary of your recommendations in a written form?
Yes, I can. So if you email me, I could just go ahead and send some resources your way. Yeah, email you back.
Yeah, if you can actually provide that, because we can just blast that out and make sure we put something on social media as well. As well, Victoria, so people have again some tools in their toolbox. So yes, Camila. And is there anything else you want to leave the ladies?
I wish you all a stress-free day. Find that inner peace. If you can't find it, go search for it. Have somebody else help you out. Connect with others. Not just, I know we're liking the physical connection, but we also need that emotional connection as well. And reach out to a mental health professional if you are even thinking about self-harm or engaging in self-harming behaviors already. Please reach out to us. If you feel isolated, if you feel lonely, we're here for you.
Absolutely. Brenda, you're welcome. Camila, you're welcome. I definitely want to make sure I say a few words as well. Ladies, you are resilient. So we didn't really get into the definition of resiliency, but I think the ability to look to your future, understand that we really will get through this, and just putting everything in perspective. Again, I think this time that we have, I would encourage everyone to pull assets, especially if you're in business. Make sure that you are in fact utilizing some technological ways of advancing your business, because this is, hopefully it won't happen again, but you have to have some plans in place.
Right.
There were a lot of businesses that physically had to close, and then now they're like, what do we do? What do we do now? So I've seen some virtual workshops happening, and we've shared that. Just make sure you are creative. And I think at the end of the day, if you went in business for yourself, you definitely have a creativity tool. So just definitely make sure you lean more into that. And again, we'll get through it. Unplug from the 24-hour news cycle. Go take a walk, breathe. If you got a grill in your backyard, use it. I personally hosted a virtual happy hour with my family. That did not make social media, and it will not. But I think it was just so important to do that. It was a lot of fun. It was the first time I've done a virtual happy hour, but I thought this is amazing. And we connected from literally all over the country. So definitely there are ways to, survive this and even thrive in it. Trust me. Again, if DJ D Nice took this crisis and made an opportunity with it, there's no reason why you can't either. So everyone have a fabulous Friday. I know we've kind of lost count of what the day is. If you are in Henry County, the Board of Commissioners is having a meeting. I think it's at 4:00. I believe they will be moving to a shelter in place, guys. I'm not quite sure, but that is the talk. And just kind of be prepared for that. So I think this was a perfect opportunity to talk about how to deal with anxiety and how to deal with not being socially, having to be socially distant, and we're social beings. So, and being able to manage your anxiety. So if that's all for me. Y'all reach out if y'all need me. Victoria is there as well. She's at Thriveworks. They are doing telehealth, so they can see you from your couch or your car. I know as women, I know at the beginning of the year we had a meeting, and one of the consistent things that came across was we sit in our car for at least 10 minutes or however long before we literally walk into the door. And that is just mentally decompressing, having a minute to ourselves before you deal with the family, deal with the house, deal with the dog. Yeah, I got one of them too. So I just think this was important. And I think we have to definitely demystify the conversation of mental health. There is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking help. You can seek your pastor and you can seek a mental health counselor. So that's all. And girl, Victoria, we're going to have to talk because I did not know you were from Charleston.
Yes, I am.
And you and my crew. So, all right, ladies, you guys have an amazing Friday. Find some DJ D Nice, our local DJ, plug in, listen to some music, go walking, and just make it a great day. Journal.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.